Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the April board meeting of Regents, the University of Wisconsin system. I'd like to thank Chancellor Gibson and his team for their warm welcome in hosting the meeting. I know it's a lot of work for the campuses to do this, and it's been very well done so far, and I'm sure the rest of the meeting will be just as well done. So thank you for that. We're going to start our meeting today with a welcome from UW System Point Student Government Association President Will Shearer. President Shearer, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Welcome again to the Regents meeting. We here at Stevens Point, and especially the Student Government Association, are honored to have you here on our campus for the first time since I think it's 2013. So it's been a while. I have been asked today to read the Indigenous Land Recognition Statement and kind of give a little bit of history on that topic. So the Indigenous Land Recognition Statement was something that we worked with the Native American Center here on this campus to pass back in 2017, and we've been reading it for almost all of our major meetings ever since then. And actually, I'm proud to say that we were the first campus in the system to pass such a statement, and ever since several of the other campuses have followed suit. So we are proud of that here. But I will now move into reading the Indigenous Land Recognition Statement. So we'd like to recognize that the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point occupies the lands of the Ho-Chunk and Menominee people. Please take a moment to honor and acknowledge this ancestral Ho-Chunk and Menominee land and the sacred lands of all Indigenous peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Very important and appreciated by all Indigenous people. So we're here to consider some items on today's agenda, but before we do that, are there any board members who wish to declare any conflicts of interest regarding today's open session? Don't forget to look at the monitor too. So I don't think there are any, so we will proceed with updates and introductions. First, it's my great pleasure to welcome and introduce the ninth president of the University of Wisconsin system, Jay Rothman, who is joining us today to listen and to observe. He officially starts his new role on June 1st. As CEO and chairman of the Foley & Lardner Law Firm in Milwaukee since 2011, and a member of the firm since 1986, Jay's leadership and executive management skills will be invaluable assets for our university system moving forward. I'm confident that in partnership with our chancellors, faculty, and staff, he will strengthen the UW system for all our students and the people of Wisconsin. Jay, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. Regent President Manny Gates. And good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to express my thanks to the Board of Regents for their contribution. I'm very much looking forward to being fully on board on June 1st. I'd also like to share how great people in the system leadership, chancellors, in helping me transition and learn and get an idea of where the challenges are in the system right now. It's been extraordinarily helpful as I move toward my transition. It's particularly meaningful for me to be speaking to the Regents for my first time from Stevens Point. I have a special connection to this university. My parents met here as students nearly 75. And while I am never been a student, Chancellor Gibson, at Stevens Point, I do feel, although perhaps indirectly, very much a product of UW Stevens. Since the announcement of my appointment several months ago, I've been spending as much time as I can listening to people within the system, campuses, and cities, as well as people outside, to learn about what is going on, while still remaining fully engaged, because I have to say this for my partners, fully engaged in my day job at my law firm. As you might expect, I have heard very, very diverse perspectives on the challenges facing each of the campuses, specifically, and the system more generally. Of significance to me, and this is important, I've also heard about the great opportunities that are available to us. And there are many of those such opportunities. That's what we're going to be focusing on, because I think we can take advantage of those opportunities. We will work through the challenges as we move. It has also been heartwarming to me to continue to hear so many stories about the transformative impact that campuses have on the lives of students. These are the impacts that drastically alter the trajectory of so many people, both within the state of Wisconsin. And if you think about it, if you want to look for a purpose in a meeting, I always look for a purpose of why we do what we do. I look at that. How important. That's why I think everyone is sitting, because of the impact all of you are having on so many lives of people in the state and beyond. I've also been reassured in hearing about and getting the detail about some of the extraordinary work that is being done across the system, and to the broad-based commitment to the student-centered focus and the broad-based commitment to Wisconsin. This is truly an exceptional. Given that foundation, I look forward to the future with great optimism, great enthusiasm, for working with all of you to make the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. It's also my pleasure to introduce our interim president, former Regent colleague of mine, and many of us here, Mike Falbo. Mike was first appointed to the Board of Regents in 2004 and served until 2015. During that time, he served as vice president and president of the board. With a 40-decade career in the banking industry, he is the former chairman and chief executive of the State Financial Services Corporation, which was acquired by Associated Bank Corp. of Green Bay in 2005. He started his Bachelor of Science in Business and Accounting from the University of Wisconsin-Parkside, and is a graduate of the Graduate School of Banking at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's also a veteran of the United States Army and Marine Corps Medics Corps. I'm really impressed by that, and I've always thanked him for his service and grateful for a hard time in our country. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Mike is a great friend of the UW and knows us well. I was delighted when he agreed to serve as interim leader of the system until Jay arrives. Mike has a special distinction. He's received 2 honorary doctorate degrees, both from UW-Milwaukee and UW-Parkside. With that in mind, Doctor, give us the news.
Can you tell me what they would mean? Worked on that last night, didn't you? Well, somebody told me that having 2 honorary doctorate degrees, I get to give my own second opinions. Thank you, Ed. It's a pleasure to be back, and I was honored to be asked to serve in this interim role and to assist with the transition process with my good friend of 30 years plus, Jay Rothman. You know, in my time on the board and during the search and screen process for hiring the president, I visited all the campuses and did it again very recently with Karen. And it was so neat to be back and to get back to the campuses and to see all the work you're doing and all the changes that were made and some things that haven't changed that are just good work being done. I tip my hat to all of you, as Jay said it very well. So the work is important. It's our future, and the future is not a place to get to. The future is created every day, and it's created by the work you do, and it's created by the students that graduate from our campuses. I want to also thank for the support of research that is done all around the system to improve lives and the many, many diverse ways our UW system serves the people of Wisconsin. I look forward to working with all of you for the next couple months that I have, and working with Jay. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
Well, so I think after that, you have some introductions to make, don't you?
I do. It's my pleasure to welcome Glendalee Rodriguez, who has been named the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Provost at UW-Stout. Glendalee was actually named to the permanent position several months ago after serving in the interim capacity since August of 2019. and we're pleased to now officially recognize her at today's meeting. Glenda Lee led Stout's Academic Affairs Division through some rapid changes, including the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, staffing transitions, organizational restructures, and budget reductions. She is known as a strong advocate for both students and employee success. She is also a licensed architect and taught UW-Stout courses in the area of construction, interior design, and technology education prior to becoming a full-time administrator. Glenda Lee is actively working with senior leadership and shared governance at UW-Stout's first comprehensive academic plan and key efforts tied to UW-Stout's strategic plan, Focus 2030. Welcome, Glenda Lee, and we look forward to continue to work with you. Can we find you? Where are you?
Thank you, President Cowell. So now we have to approve meeting records, and we're going to do the February 10th and 11th meeting records for the Board of Regents meeting held at that time at our next meeting. We have a report of the Wisconsin Technical College System from March that has been provided to all of us in your materials. Are there any comments or questions? Thank you. Hearing none, I'm going to move on to the next item of our report, which is an update on the search for the next chancellor at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. As you know, our national search was launched in January with the assistance of the executive search firm AGB Search. 21-member search and screen committee, which is chaired by Regent Vice President Walsh, who is doing her 25th chancellor search, held a series of listening sessions at the University of Wisconsin-Madison with the faculty, academic staff, university staff, students, alumni, and community members to hear their views and qualities and characteristics that they would like to see in the next chancellor. Earlier this week, the Search and Screen Committee considered this valuable input from the campus stakeholders as we reviewed applicants and selected the semifinalist candidates who will be invited to interviews. Following those interviews, the Search and Screen Committee will forward the slate of recommended candidates to the Special Regent Committee, which will include Regents Bogus, Jones, Klein, Miller, Walsh, and myself as chair. I anticipate that the Special Regent Committee will announce finalist candidates later this month, with on-site campus visits scheduled in early May. This is our last meeting with Chancellor Blank. We will formally recognize the achievements and legacy that Chancellor Blank has left us later this afternoon. A little bit of information on the Platteville and Whitewater Chancellor search processes. As you know, Chancellor Dennis Shields from UW-Platteville has accepted a new position as president of the Southern University System and Chancellor of Southern University and A&M College in Baton Rouge. So this will be his last meeting. We'll hear more about Dennis and from Dennis tomorrow. I was going to say we were going to hear more from Dennis about Dennis from Dennis. I decided not to. I'm pleased to announce that Tammy Vetovich has agreed to serve as interim chancellor at UW-Platteville effective June 1st. Tammy is currently provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs at UW-Platteville, a position she has held since 2020. She previously served in a variety of roles at Wayne State College in Wayne, Nebraska for 20 years. UW-Whitewater's interim chancellor Jim Henderson announced earlier this week that he was stepping down. I'm pleased that John Chenoweth has agreed to step in as interim chancellor. John, who has served at UW-Whitewater as their provost since July 2021, previously served as dean of the UW-Whitewater College of Business and Economics. During coming weeks, we'll learn the process of identifying members. We'll begin the process of identifying members of the search committee for both of these chancellorships. We expect the goal to officially launch both of these searches by the end of the month, with the goal of substantially completing these important searches by February of 2023. Now, an update on the governance committee that we have regarding governance issues. We still have a lot of work to do on many of the issues we plan to address. I've asked the board office to identify additional meetings for this committee over the course of the next few months. We had one scheduled, but due to some conflicts in scheduling, we had to adjourn it. We're going to get it scheduled as quickly as possible. We're going to reconvene the group after their work has been temporarily suspended by the final stages of the presidential search process. Now a little bit about spring commencements. This is one of the best times of the year at the University of Wisconsin, our commencements. In coming weeks, about 23,000 students will be presented with their University of Wisconsin diplomas. It's a special time, and on behalf of the board, I'd like to offer our congratulations. A University of Wisconsin degree is so much more than a piece of paper. It's a recognition of tremendous dedication and hard work. Our graduates and their families should be very proud. I know that we are as a board, and we congratulate the class of 2022. One of those students flying across the stage is Regent Corey Sapple, who will be earning his degree in criminology from UW-Madison. Congratulations, Corey, in advance. Job well done by you. Upon graduation, Corey will be stepping down from this board, so this is his final meeting. Corey, you've added so much to our discussions. Your insight and ideas have been very valuable. I think I've tried to appoint Corey to every Chancellor search that I could, and he's been invaluable. He gives us insight that we need as a committee to consider, and I've always appreciated his thoughtfulness and his input. I also want to note that this is the last meeting for Regents Drew Peterson and Michael Grebe, whose 7-year terms on the board will end May 1st. It may or may not be. Who knows what's going to happen. I just want to say this. I've been on this board for a while with a 2-year break. These two gentlemen took us through one of the hardest times we had as a board. Pandemic, we had to meet virtually. They had to keep us together as a board, which is hard to do when you're not in the same place. They had to work through all the logistics that had never been presented to anybody in leadership role in this board before. And they had to work with us through the problems that kept presenting themselves, and particularly how we were going to keep the students in school, how we were going to get them back to school in the fall, and they just did a great job. These are two very valuable regents. I consider them friends. I look up to them, and I appreciate everything. Thank you. We will formally recognize all 3 of our colleagues at a future meeting, but I do want to personally thank each of you for your dedication and contributions to the university system. As regents, we can rise above partisan politics to ensure that this board remains a place of collegial, respectful discourse in service of our students in the state of Wisconsin. I believe we've done that. You've been great friends and colleagues. That concludes my report.
Okay, commencements are indeed magnificent events, and I've been very fortunate over the years to attend a good number of them, and it's a special day always. I remember I'll tell you a quick story. Is it okay?
Sure.
Okay.
You got 2 minutes.
The first time I went as a regent representative to say congratulations to the graduates and bring the congratulations of the Board of Regents was at UW Superior. And this was before Renee, and I was asked at the time I got up there that the person they wanted to be the commencement speaker at the last minute pulled out, and would I be the commencement speaker? And I was very nervous. The person that pulled out was a graduate of UW Superior named, what was his name, Renee? Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I get up there and I said, I apologize to you. I know you're expecting Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you got his twin brother, Danny DeVito. So I told that story at Parkside commencement in December, and the audience, the students, didn't quite understand what I was talking about. So I put that story to rest from now on. I'd like to share some news of a departing colleague. Ani Moore Belsosa, our Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs, has decided to resign from the UW system. Ani, who's been with us since 2019, has helped to renew a vision of the Wisconsin idea for the 21st century by focusing on access, flexibility, relevance, and lifelong learning. At the core, she believes all our students should be prepared for the challenges and opportunities of life and work in an increasingly diverse state, nation, and world. On behalf of the UW system, I would like to extend our gratitude to Ani for her service to the UW system overall, to our faculty and staff, and most of all, to our students. Her final day in the office will be May 31st. We will leave that day together. Thank you, Ani. Where is I'd like to talk a little bit about the presidential transition process. I've been serving as the interim system president since March 19th, almost 3 years now. I mean, 3 weeks now. It's been kind of a long 3 weeks, but the work is invigorating. Another little story. I had coffee with Bob Bolden yesterday because I really respect him, and I asked him, can your brain get out of shape? I don't remember the velocity of things coming at me this way for quite a while. But I accepted the interim position because of my deep appreciation and affection for the universities within the UW system, and because I wanted to help the next system president be successful. I firmly believe that the success of the UW system is predicated on the success of our universities and our students. For that reason, I have been relying heavily on the chancellors for advice on how President Rothman and I can best serve the UW system going forward. We have formed a transition team to help us with prioritizing the work of UW system administration to effectively serve campuses and students, while also assisting the board in meeting its fiduciary responsibilities. The team includes Chancellors Ford, Frank, Gibson, and Gao, UW Whitewater Vice Chancellor Tanya Wesley, Interim Vice President Jeff Durant, and Regents Jones, Menedy, Dry, and Walsh. I've already seen these leaders work diligently, and I look forward to making great strides with this team in the coming months, and leaving President Rothman in the best position to serve our campuses and our students. There's another part of an upcoming transition that's important, and that's how we, our university, adjust to the changing nature of the pandemic. We're in a very different spot, in a much better spot than we were 2 years ago. With things opening up and looking much more like what we've always considered normal, we have an opportunity in system administration to focus attention on further enhancing our communications and our services to the campuses. Last month, after a year's hiatus due to COVID, the UW system returned to the Capitol for the 18th annual Research in the Rotunda event, one of UW system's most significant outreach events. It was an opportunity to meet the outstanding undergraduate student researchers from all across the system who came to the Capitol Rotunda together with their faculty advisors to share their research findings on a variety of important topics with legislators, state leaders, UW alumni, and other supporters. We had 89 projects on display this year with more than 100 student researchers involved. In the UW system, it is important to us that the educational experiences we offer our students are relevant and real world. And that applies not only to what we teach in our classrooms and laboratories, but also to the skills our students gain. Undergraduate research projects provide students with hands-on experience in identifying a challenge and then using innovative thinking and problem-solving skills to find solutions. No surprise, this makes our student researchers highly sought after by employers after they graduate. For those of you who are unable to attend and others who want to take another look, we have a brief video from the event we'd like to share with you. Okay, that was it.
So my research looks at gene-environment interactions involving methylmercury toxicity within zebrafish.
Spatial analysis of soil and artifact concentrations.
Phenomenological study of students with mental health disorders across the pandemic.
A movement towards compassion in architecture.
Low energy cosmic ray astrophysics.
If you walk around here, there's everything from social science research to lake research to, as I said, migratory birds, everything you could possibly be interested in. And here they are doing it and doing it so well.
It's exciting to share this information because it doesn't just stay inside the classroom. It extends towards everything.
This event for myself, probably for many, is an affirmation that the research that we do is like important and impactful.
Getting the ability to participate in research as an undergraduate, for me, I think this is kickstarting the rest of my life.
Personally, it means a lot in terms of opportunities, getting my name out there, and expressing important research in the field that I'm studying in.
Well, first of all, it's a fantastic way to get yourself out there. Put your name in highlights, really highlight yourself within your institution and within the UW system as a whole.
I have an extra opportunity to go in depth on a specialty that I would like to pursue in my career.
Students are able to take pride in their work and feel like it culminated to something. Because it can be hours and hours of sitting in a lab working, which can be quite tiring, stressful, and sometimes doesn't feel great.
I've learned to be a leader when it's difficult sometimes, and every piece and hour that I dedicate to the projects is very worth it in the end.
I have not had a lot of super big opportunities in my undergraduate career. It was a major opportunity for me. It's just like a green flag, keep going, you're on the right track. It's really inspiring to see other students my age as well. By seeing we're kind of all in this together, everybody's doing really cool stuff. We are here, we are active, we are researching.
Finally, I'd like to offer congratulations to UW Parkside Chancellor Debbie Ford, who recently received the prestigious Salute to Catholic School Alumni Award in Louisville, Kentucky. The award, which was presented by the Catholic Education Foundation, recognizes individuals for their leadership and dedication to community service. The 32nd Annual Salute Award fundraiser, considered a hallmark community event in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, raised a record $1.4 million to help provide tuition assistance to families to support a Catholic elementary education for their children. Chancellor Ford is a graduate of Mercy Academy, an all-girls Catholic high school in Louisville. She was previously recognized as its 2001 Alumna of the Year. In her acceptance speech, she noted she had the opportunity to live the values of her Mercy education by leading, serving, and transforming lives. The UW Parkside campus community sees that every day. Congratulations, Chancellor Ford. That concludes my report, President Menege.
Thank you, President Balbo. Now it's time to hear from our host, Chancellor Thomas Gibson, as he leads the presentation, Purpose-Driven Education, Point of Transformation. Chancellor. Brianna's going to something. Went off script.
Good afternoon, and thank you, President Falvo and Regent President Menege. As a sophomore at UW-Stevens Point, majoring in political science, I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve as the traditional student representative on the Board of Regents. Not since 2003 has a student from UW-Stevens Point served this role. One of the great things about UW-Stevens Point is it has 3 field stations for students to get hands-on learning. Tree Haven is one of them, about an hour and a half north of here, where College of Natural Resource students spend 6 weeks each summer. The maple syrup right in front of you was made by students and staff at Tree Haven in Joseph. I love all of the UW schools and am passionate about the UW system. While you are on this campus, I want to take a moment to tell you why coming to UW-Stevens Point was such an easy decision. I met Scott West from admissions as a senior in high school, and he invited me to the Multicultural Leadership Conference. I had an amazing 3 days, meeting others like me with similar concerns about college life. I created lasting relationships with people and with the campus. I will forever be grateful for that last insightful weekend. It has allowed me to get involved and have the best college years, with more to come. In my second year at UW-Stevens Point, or in my second semester at UW-Stevens Point, I was selected to become the student regent. Now I regularly talk to the chancellor, vice chancellor, and deans about matters important to students here and across the UW system. Chancellor Gibson and I were both new to the UW-Stevens Point campus last year, and we quickly became acquainted. On our drive together to Chancellor Alexander's inauguration ceremony in Green Bay last September, we practiced pronouncing cities new to both of us, like Wyawega. I'm still learning. I learned plenty about Chancellor Gibson on this ride, including that he doesn't drink coffee, which is weird and impressive, as he's doing such a great job as the Chancellor. He's incredibly engaged with students and organizations, and he has a warm smile wherever he goes, like making sure to let students know that what they say matters. He's doing a fantastic job of pointing this university in the right direction. I would like to welcome Chancellor Gibson, our host, to tell you more about UW-Stevens Point and the purpose-driven education students receive.
Thank you, Regent Tucker. As was noted, this is the first time since 2014 that we have had the honor of hosting the Regents. And I and our campus community is just so delighted to welcome each of you to UW-Stevens Point. But before I begin my remarks, I do have one housekeeping item to share. The city of Stevens Point will be testing their tornado warning sirens this afternoon. And I have been told that they may sound during my presentation. The nerd. But if that happens, please do not be alarmed. There's no need to seek shelter. It's only a test. Sounds good?
Great.
Let's begin. So from the moment you saw purple and gold street signs leading to campus, I hope you began to understand that UWSP is more than just a presence in our community. UWSP is of our community. In central and northern Wisconsin, UWSP is a part of our residents' daily experience in Stevens Point, Wausau, and Marshville. UWSP is part of your daily experience too, perhaps in ways that you've never considered. The paper your itinerary is printed on, likely produced in a facility run by UW-Stevens Point graduates in paper science and engineering. Your favorite traveling music, let's say the score from Broadway's Hamilton, performed with UWSP alumnus Gerald Avery. And if you're following the war in Ukraine, know that General Berrier, who is directing our country's Defense Intelligence Agency, first studied that region of the world right here at UWSP, graduating from our ROTC program. At UW-Stevens Point, our passion to share knowledge is embedded in the lives of our students, as well as the broader community. Here, we are united by a steadfast purpose to reimagine a better world with sustainable communities that are rich in quality of life. So my remarks today will focus on how UW-Stevens Point is uniquely positioned to transform student lives while achieving the vision of the Wisconsin idea. I will introduce our students, who they are and where they come from, a purpose-driven education, what it is and how we provide it, our values and how they guide our commitment to students, examples of how UWSP transforms lives, and highlights of the impact of our collective work. I will also share a preview of the future of UW-Stevens Point. First, student success is the core of all that we do at UW-Stevens Point. And nothing gives me greater pleasure than telling the stories of the talented individuals that inspires us each and every day. Over 40% are the first in their families to attend college. 1/3 are Pell eligible, indicating exceptional financial need. 80% of undergraduate students receive grant or scholarship aid. 13% come from diverse or international backgrounds. 68% live within 100 miles of Stevens Point. We open our doors to students from all over, including from 70 of the state's 72 counties, 41 states, and 21 other countries. And 92% of our graduates live in Wisconsin for at least 3 years after graduation. We understand our student demographics and how to engage students with unique experiences that leads to standout careers. We help our students feel at home, whether they're from rural or unincorporated towns in northern Wisconsin or from metropolitan centers such as Chicago. A purpose-driven education is at the core of who we are and what we do. But how do we define it, you may ask? At UW-Stevens Point, a purpose-driven education engages discovery, inclusive pedagogy, impactful research, critical thinking, and applied learning. It is the commitment we make to our students and to each other. It is the sheer goal that energizes us and drives our faculty and staff to fulfill our promise of student success. Our students are transformed by their UW-Stevens Point experience, and they're prepared to make differences in their respective community. UWSP students are focused, they're determined, hardworking, and resilient. And it's not lost on me that there's 12 other chancellors that can attest to transformative educational experiences at their respective institution. But allow me to share what makes the UW-Stevens Point experience distinct. We were founded in 1894 as a normal school to prepare teachers here in North Central Wisconsin. And for 128 years, we trained the next generation of outstanding educational professionals, one of the important roles in our College of Professional Studies. We graduate hundreds of teachers each year, many of whom will remain right here in our region. In addition to training teachers, you may know that UW-Stevens Point was the first university to offer a conservation education degree back in 1946. It was the precursor to our internationally known College of Natural Resources, which marked its 50th anniversary in 2020. Our programs in resource management, forestry, the fisheries, and water resources, they prepare professionals for positions all across the state and the nation. From the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, where 80% of employees are UWSP graduates, to the U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, and to the greatest of our country's environmental and cultural treasures in the national park system. Passion for the natural environment and sustainability is just simply part of our DNA. It's present in how we teach our classes, feed our community, power our campuses, and preserve resources. While it's true that we may be best known for education and national resources, we are so much more than that. Our College of Fine Arts and Communication ranks among the nation's top 7% with its national accreditation in all 4 arts areas, such as art and design, dance, music, and theater. And our College of Letters and Science is the driving force that it inspires more students to think beyond undergraduate degrees than any other comprehensive UW. Based on the most recent 15-year review of National Science Foundation data, UW-Stevens Point has one of the largest number of graduates in the UW system who earned PhDs in the sciences, such as biological and biomedical sciences and chemistry. Students come to UW-Stevens Point to discover their purpose. For some, this is just a quaint little town. For others, it's the largest city that they've ever lived in. Some come with a clear purpose in mind. Others come to discover a world that they can only imagine. They excel in our campus environment that is at once nurturing, but also challenging. Just last month, John List, a distinguished professor of economics at the University of Chicago, returned to UW-Stevens Point. Considered one of the 8 most influential economists in the world, John was the first in his family to attend college. And recalling his journey through UW-Stevens Point, John described it as a perfect match for first-gen kids.
Thank you so much. You are all killing it. You are doing me very proud. And I didn't know that I was going to say that when I was driving up here from Sun Prairie. I'm a little bit busy, so I haven't followed carefully what's going on. But yesterday, I had a remarkable day talking to students, administrators, thinking about a vision of what we represent. I'm a first-gen kid, as you'll learn, and we represent the first-gen community here. This is a perfect match for first-gen kids. And what all of you are setting up, I'm super proud of. What you are doing outside the classroom, giving students a chance outside of the classroom, is better than what we are doing at the University of Chicago. I'm visiting Harvard this year as well for the year, and it is better than what Harvard is doing. So I want to say congratulations. This is great stuff. I want to give you guys a hand.
UWSP transforms lives. Our commitment to a purpose-driven education is guided by 4 principles: academic excellence, sustainability, diversity and inclusivity, impact, and outcomes. We live these values in both what we do and how we do it. The vast majority of our faculty hold PhDs, and they are committed to academic excellence. This includes teaching students how to think critically. We frequently talk about how a college education fosters critical thinking skills. But here at UW-Stevens Point, we move beyond just mere talk. Just last fall, we became the first campus in the state to build critical thinking into the general education program for first-year students. By introducing a common framework early in students' college journeys, they can easily see how critical thinking skills are developed across disciplines and throughout their education here at Point. Critical thinking skills are woven into our coursework in the sciences, humanities, arts, and more. Professor Donna Warren has led these efforts in the development of our Critical Thinking Center.
Critical thinking is the process of analyzing, evaluating, and constructing reasoning, both in the process of trying to decide what conclusions to draw, like what to think, and in the process of deciding what to do, what decisions to make, and how you're going to solve problems.
I would absolutely recommend this for students that want to think for themselves and not just parrot back whatever they're being told.
It just kind of lit a fire in me. Critical thinking has helped me in so many different classes. I couldn't even tell you one that didn't.
Critical thinking is so central to success across the curriculum. The idea is that you get a foundation that then you build upon as you progress through the curriculum.
We are very much thinking about how students make a life, make a living, and make a difference. We emphasize critical thinking, and we see that critical thinking is also about open-mindedness, being flexible, having global competencies.
Statistics have shown consistently that employers value critical thinking, both in terms of hiring new talent into their organization and to make promotion decisions within their organizations. 68% of employers say that critical thinking is very important to their organization. Unfortunately, 64% of employers also say that it's really hard to find employees with critical thinking skills. So there's a gap. UWSP is going to bridge that gap in an intentional way by providing students with exactly the kind of critical thinking skills that employers want.
We want to have people who take initiative, who want to learn on the job,
who want to explore new things and who get excited about the world. That's what we offer.
The critical thinking class has allowed me to put the information I'm learning in multiple different areas together in a way that has been truly amazing.
Critical thinking will help students in the future when they are faced with the decision like, what should I believe when I look at social media? Or what decision should I make about whether I should take a job or not? Students at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point will have frameworks they can intentionally, consciously invoke to help deal with those very real world issues.
We don't only prepare them for specific careers, we want them to lead meaningful lives. We want them to think critically about what's happening around them.
Critical thinking is so important for understanding how we think and how other people think. And I'm so pleased and proud that we offer it here at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point.
There is a critical need for critical thinking. It is one of the ways that we define a transformational experience at UW-Stevens Point, and it is also one of the great differentiators in a pointer education. In the future, we will introduce our students to the same industry-wide assessment tool that employers use to measure an employee's ability to think critically. And our students will excel at it. They will have learned how to assess and understand the big picture, make decisions, solve problems, and find practical solutions. They will be ready to make their mark on the world, and they will stand out from their competitors in their respective fields. Discovery. Discovery is another great differentiator of a UWSP education. We help students discover their purpose and pursue their passion. Some come to us with a clear purpose in mind. Others discover it while they're on one of our campuses in Stevens Point, Wausau, or Marshville. The process begins when they meet with recruiters and they decide that UW-Stevens Point is the right fit for them. Time and time again, our students tell us that UW-Stevens Point feels like home. For many, UWSP is a window to the world outside of their rural and urban communities. Our faculty and staff connect students where they are, providing options and inspiration. Our academic advisors help students translate their interests into careers and guide them toward a purpose-driven education. In fact, the extra attention and support our students receive is evident in the National Survey of Student Engagement results, where the UWSP advising experience ranked 17 points higher than our peers. In that same survey, UWSP ranked at the top for students holding leadership roles, acquiring job-related skills, engaging with faculty for career preparation, providing support for well-being, and the overall ranking of their educational experience. Research. Research at UWSP further defines a student's transformational experience. Many students are involved in undergraduate research as early as their first year on campus. UW-Stevens Point consistently ranks either first or second among comprehensive UWs in extramural research and public service grants, with a total of $6.7 million fiscal year 2021. This is key to funding critical research in a wide range of areas that are important to Wisconsin, such as building capacity for agriculture, monitoring surface and groundwater quality, chronic wasting disease, forestry and environmental education, and strategies to treat invasive species, such as the emerald ash borer, which is destroying stately ash trees, and buckthorn, a woody plant that's taking over natural habitats. Faculty connect students to hands-on experiences in dozens of research labs across our campus. And many students tell us that they would not have had such rich research experiences so early in their academic journey had they attended another university. And many go on to publish in scientific journals even before completing their bachelor's degree. Research is just one example of applied learning. At UW-Stevens Point, students learn both inside as well as outside of the classroom. And one of the focal points of Purpose Made Possible, our strategic plan, is expanding high-impact practices to boost student learning, development, and engagement, beginning with their first year of study on campus. A few examples include our fine arts and communication students. Faculty mentored activities such as art and media expositions, musical performances, theater, and dance productions reach thousands of university and K-12 students as well as community members each year. Student-run newspaper, radio, and TV opportunities engage students throughout their UWSP education. In the College of Natural Resources, students participate in a 6-week summer field experience at Tree Haven, a 1,400-acre field station near Tomahawk. Here, students engage in hands-on learning in forestry, water resources, soils, and resource management. They do everything from banding and trapping wildlife to practicing fire management and assessing fish populations. Additionally, students learn about environmental education at the Central Wisconsin Environmental Station, which is about 20 minutes away from Stevens Point. Right here in our backyard is our third field station, the 280-acre Smeatley Reserve. This is an easily accessible outdoor classroom. Our students have access to hands-on learning opportunities that's simply not available at other institutions across the United States. We connect the academic instruction in our classrooms to the natural environment in which we live. Our community benefits from our commitment to preserving and enhancing natural resources. So if you have time while you're in town today and tomorrow, I invite you to visit and take a walk around Smeatley Reserve. Experience this natural beauty for yourself. Applied learning goes beyond these examples. Applied learning takes our students into the greater community each and every day. Approximately 75% of our undergraduates participate in internships. These allow students to gain valuable experiences and skills while meeting the critical needs of regional employers that are ever in search of workplace talent. And thanks to strong community partnerships throughout central and northern Wisconsin, UW-Stevens Point provided an estimated 30 to 40% of employees at Century Insurance and Skyward. And we partnered with Marshfield Clinic Health System, Aspirus, Delta Dental, Martin Machining, and Greenhat, an industry-leading manufacturer. In our School of Business and Economics, through the Anderson Classroom to Career Center, helps our students to complete internships and actively engage in networking opportunities that help them become career ready and ready to be hired after graduation.
School in Business Economics is the perfect place for you to come and get real world experience, getting career ready in networking, meeting with other leaders, or just building a resume. What is the best place to come and become ready for that next step?
Not only do we offer students an opportunity to learn in the classroom, we offer students awesome opportunities for professional development, internship opportunities.
We have over 300 events every semester. Multinational companies are having our students intern with them.
Without the internship program, we would not be able to grow where we are today. Our focus is to make sure that they are actually involved in real world projects. Based on that, they're able to gain the experience they need to start out right away in a full-time position, higher than someone that just comes in straight out the street.
I'm able to apply ways of building trust with employees, ways of communicating with leadership and those that are in the same level as me or underneath me, using that to grow the business and help them succeed.
One of my favorite things about the School of Business and Economics was the collaborative culture surrounding the whole program itself.
All the professors here, my advisors, everyone here has helped me find my path, explore the different opportunities that I've had, be flexible, network with everyone, and have a fun time while doing it.
We get students ready for a variety of different careers. We have majors in marketing, management, finance, accounting, business administration, data analytics, economics.
School of Business and Economics is a wonderful place for students to really become career ready before they graduate here on campus.
So it's a place where students can come and be sure that they're going to learn and have a career path, and we're going to be there to help them.
As I said in my introduction, UW-Stevens Point is more than just in our community. It's of our community. UW-Stevens Point is a brain gain for our state. Sustainability. You know, I invite each of you to join me in recognizing our students who are seated in the front row Their presence today reinforces their commitment to sustainability. Thank you for your presence. Sustainability is another hallmark of our commitment to purpose-driven education. It permeates through every corner of our campuses. UWSP is a leader, but not just in the environmental sense. We are well on our way to leading across the spectrum of economic sustainability, climate change, social justice, healthcare, and gender equality. Sure, we're aiming to be the greenest of all UW campuses. We led the way 75 years ago with the first conservation education major. We have a 50+ year history and international reputation in natural resource management. But we go so much deeper than that. When it comes to sustainability, we feel we have a campus-wide responsibility to lead. According to the 2021 Blue Shield Next Gen Climate Survey, 83% of Gen Z youth worry about the planet's health. The majority are concerned about issues with social equity. Students care more about these issues than their parents' generation, and they factor sustainability into their college-going decisions. Our faculty help our students understand global challenges and prepare them to implement sustainability principles into their daily lives as well as their professions. Today's UWSP students are eager to be a part of a solution locally as well as globally. They want to know how they can make a difference, and they expect their instructors and their university to guide them along the way. This is one of the reasons that we're offering a new major in community sustainability this fall, integrating social, ethical, and the political dimensions of environmental science. Students will choose an emphasis in either resilient urban systems and policy or environmental justice and community leadership. Our degree programs in natural resources, resilient food systems, and educational sustainability are further examples of a purpose-driven education. Sustainability is the lens that many of our students will use to guide their decision-making long after they graduate and leave Point and become global citizens. Of special note, our doctoral program in educational sustainability is the only one of its kind in the country.
When people think about sustainability, they often think about the environmental component of sustainability, which is really important. But something that I've learned here at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point is that sustainability is so much broader and more holistic than that. Yes, there are the environmental parts of sustainability, but we also consider the economic and social aspects of sustainability in our program.
Sustainability in my community means to me that whatever I can gather and collect for myself is not only for myself, but also for the generations that are coming behind me that can use this information to help make our community a better place. So the master's program that I'm in is the Community and Organizational Leadership Program. My project is going to be a youth GONA, which is a gathering of Native Americans. So what we want to do is bring our youth together, and we want to be able to give them some strategies for healing from things like suicide, ideation, from things like domestic abuse and violence, the things that our young people have to deal with today. So we want to be able to use the strategies that we have and that I've been learning and really implement them in real life situations. The sustainability then comes in with our younger generations and having our younger generations start practicing and become these mentors in community.
Once I landed at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, it really became my home because of the educational sustainability program. We are the only program in the world that focuses on sustainability through the lens of education. And that's really special to me because both sustainability and education have a really special place in my heart. I'm also a Master of Natural Resources student. I learned that there was a Master of Natural Resources program that perfectly complemented my work in educational sustainability. I've been able to merge those two different perspectives from educational sustainability and the College of Natural Resources into my work and my practice.
If I could have planned it for myself, I couldn't have planned it any better to be a part of all of this, to be a part of what I'm learning here today.
Coming to the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point was the best decision I've made in my entire life. I started my doctoral program somewhere else, but the second that I came here to UWSP, my entire life changed. My career trajectory changed. I have met the most amazing people and learned so much about sustainability. It truly has been a transformative experience.
Our sustainability leaders are the world's change agents. Inclusive excellence. Inclusive excellence is another thread woven through our curriculum, activities, and campus communities. It is one of the 3 imperatives that I identified when I became chancellor about 15 months ago. My goal is to foster a learning community that's committed to equity, diversity, and inclusion, from university administrators, faculty, staff, and students to the communities in which we live. And while we have advanced efforts to become a more inclusive community, our work is certainly not done. We strive to ensure that everyone is respected, that everyone is heard and feels a sense of belonging. Our doors are open to provide transformational experiences to all people from all backgrounds, identities, cultures, and walks of life. And we need to encourage our campus community to continue to walk through our doors of discovery. Equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts have progressed on our main campus with the opening of the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning back in 2017. Created in response to faculty demand for professional development, it was student demand that added mandatory inclusivity training for all university employees. Today, we're making EDI a priority in recruiting both students and employees, as well as how we onboard new employees as well. We've added EDI as part of our course evaluations and our campus climate considerations. Our Inclusive Teaching Fellows program is a grow your own model for hiring and retaining faculty of color, designed to prepare ethnically and racially diverse postdocs to become faculty. The fellowship creates a pathway to a professorship at UWSP. And we're in the process of recruiting our first fellows come this fall. This is just one step forward in recruiting and retaining a more diverse faculty and staff, and in turn, our next generation of students. We are also actively developing an Inclusive Excellence Institute on our main campus. This will be a hub for campus and community programming. A non-credit certificate in equity, diversity, and inclusion will be available to the public through all 3 of our campuses. And a graduate level credit-bearing certificate will be offered online beginning this fall through our educational sustainability program. This past spring, we opened the Center for Inclusive Excellence at UW-Stevens Point at Marshville. This center is another example of a physical space that's dedicated to inclusive learning and discovery. Impact. Impact is the essence of a UW-Stevens Point education. Every day I see how UWSP makes an impact that transforms our students, our communities, our state, and our nation. Seeing the difference that our students are making in the world is what guides us in our professions. On average, our students provide more than 5,000 hours of volunteer service each year. Through this service, they learn to be active, engaged, conscientious citizens of our community, your community, and the communities of the world. Making the impact in the lives of others is just simply what we aim to do. Our region benefits when our students provide speech and language services, including comprehensive hearing evaluations, through the UWSP Speech, Language, and Hearing Clinic. Regional businesses benefit from our pre-professional students working in internships and practicums. Community residents benefit when our student musicians and artists inspire, engage, and entertain in theaters, studios, halls, and at outdoor concerts. Our state's natural beauty and recreational areas benefit when our students manage forests, streams, lakes, and soils to conserve, enhance, and repair these treasured resources. Residents of all ages benefit through compassionate care and training from our students in nursing, athletic training, health science, and wellness. Our youth benefit from UWSP prepared teachers and program development leaders. Our students are the future entrepreneurs, business, and industry leaders who will drive our economy. Most importantly, they are already engaged citizens who are applying their good education and critical thinking skills to make our communities better each and every day. We're so proud of our students, in case you didn't know or couldn't tell. We are amazed at what they accomplished during their time with us. And what they accomplished after graduation is even more inspiring. They carry out the Wisconsin idea, bringing resources and expertise to every corner of the state. For example, one of our graduates operates the world's largest aquaponics facility in western Wisconsin. He and other biology students learned and conducted research at UW-Stevens Point Northern Aquaculture Demonstration Facility near Bayfield. Their research on cold water fish species and public education about sustainable aquaculture connects our students with an industry that generates $21 million in economic activity in Wisconsin and supports 2,600 registered fish farms in the state. Speaking of water, thousands of residents statewide have ongoing concerns about drinking water quality. So testing, monitoring, and educating are key to helping people, especially those served by rural residential well water systems. Much of that work is being done by Kevin Marassin, a water resources graduate and the Center for Watershed Science and Education at UW Extension and UW-Stevens Point. Several of our alumni have returned to the classrooms and school districts across the state, but not only to teach, but to lead diversity and inclusivity efforts. They're helping young people understand and embrace differences and to aspire to leadership roles. Wu Chang, an alumnus who is associate principal at Green Bay Elementary School, speaks to the impact of seeing or not seeing people who look like you while growing up. A role model for Hmong and other students, he and fellow alumni are impacting the state by helping young people advocate for themselves and to ensure success. Our graduates' impact is seen across the country and soon may be felt in nearly every community of every state. A 3-digit mental health crisis hotline, similar to 911, will be established this summer to serve struggling folks with mental illness or addiction. UWSP alumna Lauren Conboy was instrumental in creating the 988 hotline, part of the National Suicide Hotline Designation Act. She worked with several presidential administrations to make this happen. Our alumni truly made meaningful impact in the state, the nation, and the world.
During my time at college here, I spent a lot of time at the Noah Fine Arts Center. It just reminds me of home, reminds me of my safe place, reminds me of creativity, reminds me of love. And it's just always such a pleasure to come back.
I loved learning. Oh, and this was just like a feast. It was wonderful. Great faculty.
I just remember it being just such a great place. I lived in Smith Hall and right away met a lot of people who were in the natural resources program and other students as well. It just felt like it was the right place to be.
To be a good leader, first you must serve, first you must love others, and you should love others more than you love yourself. And I think those are kind of the lessons that we take away from Stevens Point that I think are still active at the campus today.
I started as a business major. I wanted to go into business. I was just going to minor in dance. And then I just fell in so much, and the professors were fantastic. They were open, and they were loving, and they were supportive. They worked with me. They pushed me just enough. And I realized I wanted to make this my full-time commitment.
When I saw him perform in Hamilton on Broadway, I couldn't take my eyes off him. He looked just like himself in the middle of this complex choreography, and he made it look simple.
Being in Hamilton was like, to be on the stage was just once in a lifetime opportunity. We knew what we had was special.
I remember all of the opportunities that I could have, a lot of outdoor opportunities to do things that I hadn't done before. I knew that I really enjoyed interpreting the environment and being either an interpretive naturalist or being involved in outdoor education. And that was how my career started. I'm proud to say that I'm the first woman superintendent of Mount Rushmore. It's like managing a small city. You have 3 million visitors. On average, we would have about 25,000 people a day.
When I went to get a library card, the librarian said, certainly, Mrs. Goldsmith, you can have a library card. If you would just fill this out and take it home for your husband to sign it, you can have a library card. And I said, what? And I wasn't even calling myself a feminist at that time, but I thought, no, really, no, this is not acceptable. I attended my first NOW meeting in 1974. I became chapter president and loved it because it is wonderful to be able to do something about a wrong that you see, and you're doing something to help fix it, change it. So that was terrific.
Stevens Point had the ROTC program, and they had a great history program that just drew me in, and I really went for it. I always wanted to be a soldier, and I think about the time I was in my junior and senior year, I started to think about being an officer, and my true love was, I think, with the Army even then. UWSP's Russian and East Central European Studies program was formative for me in my early years and remains formative for me today.
General Barrier has an historian's heart, and he has this ability to tie the past to the present to the future, which is an extremely important attribute as a military intelligence professional.
One of my past supervisors asked me, why do you want to be a superintendent? And I said, well, I always thought of it as the conductor of an orchestra. And if you hired the right people, you could really make beautiful music.
Oh my goodness. She has been all over the country in national parks and national monuments, historic sites. What a wonderful career.
In 1982, I was elected national president of NOW. Well, I think certainly the most remarkable part of that experience was when we decided to support Coretta Scott King's 1983 March on Washington. After my time at NOW, I returned to UW Stevens Point. I worked for Chancellor Keith Sanders on the racial and gender diversity issues.
I was not very familiar with different ethnic groups before I went to the University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point. On a farm in central Wisconsin, I was surrounded by people that looked just like us. And the first time I saw any diversity was on the campus at UWSP. Holy cow, what an education that was in and of itself. And I think that has helped me embrace diversity as an Army officer. And I think it's a really important element of our Army.
Those years here at Stevens Point were absolutely the happiest years of my life. It was more a feeling of home than any place I have ever lived.
Everyone is talking about how the world feels like it's upside down, but now it just seems the right time to have love and light in the classroom, in the studio, to support each other and lift each other up.
I'm very grateful for the time that UWSP invested in me, and I'm grateful for the time that I spent there.
The UWSP educational experience has transformed the lives of tens of thousands of students. The positive impact of our institution has been evident for over 128 years. And I'm pleased to report that we're on a clear path to continued success through the enhancement of our strengths, our renewed commitment to student achievement, our strategy for serving a broader population, and the creation of new and innovative programs. None of the wonderful accomplishments that I've just mentioned could have been achieved without our dedicated faculty and staff. Their hard work, their commitment to our students, their endless creativity fuels our ability to execute ambitious plans for the future. I can't thank them enough for all that they've done and for all that they will do to support the mission and vision of our institution. So where does UWSP go from here? We have a solid understanding of who we are as an institution and who we serve. We know our strengths, and we're certainly developing strategies to address areas in need of improvement. The guiding principles that will inform our decisions and directions for the future are in our new strategic plan, Purpose Made Possible. 4 major themes frames our goals and objectives. This roadmap to the future will shape how we engage our students and the communities in which we serve. These 4 themes are advancing the mission of our institution, Theme 1, aligned finances with institutional vision. This theme requires a comprehensive review of our investments across our campuses to reflect our institution's priorities more accurately. Theme 2, expand educational opportunities for student success. UWSP is doubling down on our recruitment and retention efforts to increase our enrollment and improve student achievement. We will also expand our educational delivery modes to reach and serve more students. Theme 3, enhance the student experience. UWSP is prioritizing and expanding high-impact practices to boost student learning, development, and engagement. Additionally, we will endeavor to build and enhance a community that values equity, diversity, and inclusion. And theme 4, serve our internal and external communities for the greatest impact. This challenges UWSP to work to increase our alignment with the Wisconsin idea and the evolving needs of our communities. The future of UWSP is indeed bright. Our strategic plans defines our purpose and provides the path to make it possible. We will stay true to our mission to serve the students of our region and beyond, while expanding access for new populations of diverse learners. What makes our university so unique and special are our people, our students, our faculty and staff who are united in purpose. I'm proud of this university and honored to lead this great institution. So in closing, I began my tenure as UW-Stevens Point Chancellor on a cold winter day in the middle of a global pandemic in January of 2021. And many of my first interactions with students, faculty, and staff were through Zoom or by phone. And while I understood and I supported the need to limit in-person interactions, I did worry that I would not be able to readily build a strong connection with my new university community. But I'm pleased to report that my fears did not come to pass. My interactions with students and colleagues in the greater Central Wisconsin community, they were impactful, rich, and engaging. This community has welcomed me and my family with open arms. The past 15 months in this position have been a whirlwind of activities, to say the least. I've learned so much about our campuses and what it means to be a pointer. I have had many opportunities to get to know our students, and they are humble, resourceful, eager to ask questions and to learn. I have been inspired by our students' openness. They have the strength to admit that they do not know everything. Their courageous approach to learning has served as a model for me in my new role. UWSP is also my point of transformation. My work is to ensure that the university continues to provide transformative educational experiences for students and to expand access for more learners. Our purpose-driven education changes lives. We are intentional, focused on the promise that we make to students. We are energized by our shared purpose. We are on a mission to reimagine our world, one graduate at a time. And we're thrilled to have this opportunity to include you on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Gibson. Are there any questions or comments which any of the regents would like to make? I, for one, appreciate the presentation of information. I wasn't aware of all the prestigious people that attended and graduated from Stevens Point. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So I do have a question regarding some of the points you put out, listing things that you were going to accomplish now was aligning your finances with the sustainability issue. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we have a good fortune to have a student body that is very vocal regarding what they would like to see regarding sustainability efforts on our respective campuses. So we're engaging students as much as possible to really understand what's important to them. And a more recent engagement opportunity is surrounding the construction of our new library, Albertson Hall, which will be an academic learning commons and hub, if you will. And we're listening to students' feedback regarding what's sustainability practices that they want to see included in this facility, as well as other facilities on campus. So we will prioritize our resources to ensure that that we could help advance some of these sustainability interests and practices that are not just important to our students, but for all members of our university community. And when I speak about aligning our finances with our institutional priorities, it is under the understanding that there's only so much dollars to go around. And we need to better understand what's important to our campus community, what's important to the communities we serve, and ensure that those limited resources are aligned. We want to make sure we're investing in things and experiences that will really make a difference for our campus community. And that will be a campus-wide collective effort.
Thank you, Chancellor. Anybody else? Regent Atwell.
Yeah, thank you, Chancellor Gibson. Could you speak a little bit to the engagement with the Wausau and Marshfield communities and enrollment, and how's that going? I know it's complicated, but.
So I don't think that we're unlike any other higher ed institution in the state or around the nation that are concerned with enrollment pressures. And certainly I have concerns about enrollment on our two branch campuses. But the Wausau campus in particular, I believe that they have a population that could support a campus in Wausau. So we're pursuing new degree programs to attract new populations of students on both of our regional campus, the Wausau campus in particular. When I speak to the Marshfield campus, their enrollment there is slightly lower than the Wausau campus. And that's largely in response to a declining population, if you will, in the Marshfield area. A good number of high school students are choosing to leave the area for their pursuit of college. But we have some ideas. We have some strategies that I'm really excited about that I think will serve both campus locations extremely well. I stopped short of sharing them publicly here because there are some details that still need to be worked out, but I would welcome the opportunity to share with you exactly what the plan is for both our Marshfield and our Wausau campuses. I'm really encouraged by this plan that we have.
Anyone else? Anything? Going once? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I think we all agree that this is one of the best parts about having these meetings on campuses. We get to learn about the campus, the community, the opportunities that the students have, and what's going on and what they expect to accomplish in the coming years. And so it's really good to hear all of that. Next, we're going to talk about another important topic that's generating increased interest, not only here, but nationally and all over the UW system, and that's sustainability. Over the past several months, I've been meeting with a group of UW students. They've made it clear that this is a topic they are keenly interested in. They've called for us to have this presentation, and I have endorsed it, and so we're going to have it. Today, we're going to get an overview of Wisconsin's rich history of stewardship as well as a sense of the impacts and risks to infrastructure and our built environment. Every university in the system has been involved in this enterprise. And they have each provided a summary of their energy consumption and conservation, including renewable energy and research activities. We also have sustainability directors or coordinators from several universities here with us today. I'm particularly pleased that we also have a panel of student presenters representing 6 universities from the UW system. I'm eager to hear what they have to say to us. To get us started, I'm going to call upon Sean Nelson, UW System Vice President for Finance, to introduce our guests.
Thank you, Region President Menendez. Before we start and introduce our first presenters, I just want to express my appreciation for all the support we've had from our campus stakeholders, our sustainability directors, our CBOs, our chancellors, our facility folks. Really a team effort to bring what we're going to bring forward today. And we know we need to make a lot of progress towards these goals. I think this is the right group to help advance that. So with that, let me introduce our first presenter. It's Kate Nelson. No relation, by the way. She is the Director of Sustainability at UW-Milwaukee. Kate? Kate, there you are. Second presenter will be Dave Barbier, the Sustainability Coordinator here at UW-Stevens Point. Kate is coming forward as well. And Andrea Hicks, the Director of Sustainability Education and Research at UW-Madison. So Kate, why don't I turn it over to you first?
Thank you. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. This is a moment I will cherish in my career here. And it is even more of a pleasure that I'm here with my esteemed colleagues in sustainability and, of course, our students. And I think our students might steal the spotlight. So I will start turning this presentation over. Andrea is getting it started. And through this presentation, you will hear from us about finance and what I like to refer to as the electrons moving through the building that we don't usually pay attention to. But please, with any mind and heart, listen to the students.
Well, hello. My name is Andrea Hicks, and I am the Director of Sustainability Education and Research at UW-Madison campus, as well as an Associate Professor in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. Our Office of Sustainability is a somewhat unique structure in that we have co-directors, one who is a faculty member myself, and one who is from Facilities Planning and Management, Dr. Missy Niergaard, who cannot be here today. We have a quick slide here laying out the flow of our conversation today. Assuming I get this to work. We stand on the shoulders of giants here at the University of Wisconsin. That does not mean, however, that we can rest on our laurels. What has defined success in sustainability and environmental science over the last 50 years are not the same actions nor criteria which will define it in the next 50. As both a tenured faculty member and a co-director of the Office of Sustainability, I am uniquely poised to talk about this in the context of the work we are doing at UW-Madison. We view our campus as a living and breathing laboratory for innovation in education and research. With over 60,000 people on our campus, we are bigger than many small towns in Wisconsin. Our goal is to use our infrastructure and grounds to create learning opportunities for our students, whether it's taking our First Nations cultural landscape tour or using our bus shelters to test solar panels. At the Office of Sustainability, we engage students through multiple endeavors. Our Student Green Fund collaborates with students to improve the sustainability of our campus across all three paradigms of sustainability. environment, economy, and society. Focusing on student-generated projects, such as the bus shelter project that I mentioned, but also on others, such as a solution for preventing bird strikes on campus windows, where we have added dots to a wall of glass so that birds can see it and not die when they fall flying into it. Such projects allow students to have a sense of ownership over our and their campus, while also learning a myriad of professional skills. In our paid student intern program, students spend at least a year working on teams to improve campus sustainability. This includes teams such as our Green Labs team, working to reduce the environmental impact of our research enterprise, our Green Athletics team, working to reduce the footprint of our sporting events, and our Social Sustainability Coalition, which highlights and elevates traditionally excluded voices through their Amplifying BIPOC Voices in Sustainability speaker series. These students often go on to use the professional skills gained through this program in their chosen careers, making our students more employable while enhancing their educational experience. You'll hear from one of the interns later. So thinking about our future, we also see a strong demand for sustainability credentialing, both by students and employers. Our undergraduate sustainability certificate has over 100 students in it from across our campus and is increasing in enrollment. We're working to meet this demand by bringing on new sustainability credentials open to members across the campus community to fruition. We're currently in the pre-proposal stage to bring about a graduate certificate in sustainability, open to all graduate students across our campus, with a singular community-based learning capstone experience in service to the communities in the state of Wisconsin. It's important for students to have an academic and disciplinary home, particularly for future employment, but to have broad views and skills around sustainability. The same is true for our undergraduate students. We are diligently working to transition our undergraduate requisite double major in environmental studies to environmental and sustainability in order to meet student and employer demand. We're seeking to transform how we think about sustainability in our living and breathing campus to not only meet the educational needs of our students today, but also for the next 50 years. All of the exciting work we're doing at UW-Madison requires resources. Despite the programs I just described, there is much more we could be doing, and that is true for our other campuses as well. We're currently turning away opportunities due to lack of funding and staff capabilities, which are lower compared to other schools in the Big Ten, with whom we compete not only on the football field, but also with respect to sustainability metrics. The return on investment for sustainability as education is high. We are investing in and producing the sustainability workforce and thought leaders for Wisconsin and beyond. The rest of the panel issues are important, but most important is what we do as an educational institution around sustainability and environmental science. And I will hand it off to my colleague.
Thanks, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today, especially for Kate. Get you an opportunity to see me in a tie, first time in 9 years, so it's a big deal. My name is Dave Barbier. I'm the sustainability coordinator here at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. I'm going to be taking the lead over the next couple of minutes to talk about sustainability and its role as it relates to enrollment and the student experience here in the UW system. Perfect, thank you. This slide focuses specifically on some recent trends in data from the Princeton Review. It's an organization that has been a leader for over 40 years in preparing students for their college experience and understanding the trends in higher education based. As you can see, 78% of students consider university's environmental commitment when considering their enrollment decisions. This number by itself can stand on its own as a staggering point of significance. However, it becomes even more impressive piece of data when partnered with the 2018 survey information that shows a 15% increase in that metric in just 3 years. That is substantial. As sustainability professionals, we believe that this trend will continue, and our efforts as a system to address these concerns will become a benchmark of our ability to attract future leaders to our campuses. Student perceptions of our leadership in this area will and are impacting their decisions about where they go to school. Their decisions will have a real impact for many of our campuses due to the role that our students play in moving the needle on these issues, as evidenced by this group of committed students that have come in today. On my campus alone, I numerous initiatives and their subsequent recognitions that our university has received because of the desire and the motivation of our students to see change in their university. I'd like to share a couple of those with you right now, if I could. In 2020, we became the first UW system school to become certified B Campus USA. This process was spearheaded and led by a first-year student named Abby Krieger. Because of that work, we've since seen 2 other UW system schools follow that lead, UW River Falls and UW-GB. In 2019, we became a bike-friendly university through the League of American Bicyclists. This process took many years to complete and was led by many multiple students, including Alex Thomas, Taylor Christensen, and Heidi Putnam. And in 2016, we were recognized as a Fair Trade University, the 40th in the country, and that effort was led by a student named Justin Cease. These initiatives and efforts would typically be led by professional staff. All of these efforts were done in the name of our whole university, not just the sustainability department. Our marketing and communications team, as well as our admissions officer and office and their recruiters, use and point to these recognitions as talking points for recruiting potential students from the 78% that the Princeton Review data talks about. My point is that students are already leading our campuses on these issues, and they want to see that effort reciprocated. They want to see that coming back to them from the UW system as a whole, and they want to see that from their universities individually. They want to see us lead on these issues in a way that reflects our understanding of the Princeton Review data. We know that the enrollment cliff of 2025 is around the corner, and these sustainability issues is where our own students and the national data are clearly telling us we need to excel in if we are going to stay competitive in the enrollment and recruitment battle in the years ahead. Somebody read my notes ahead of time. They're right on them. This next slide is another take of enrollment and bringing your attention to why it is so important we start taking a more accelerated approach to sustainability issues. While we have intentionally chosen to highlight what is going on around us regionally in this slide, it is not to say we don't have things to be proud of. From the Nelson Institute at UW-Madison to the Sustainability Institute for Regional Transformation at UW-Oshkosh, to our highly renowned Freshwater Collaborative, and to our university's own EDD in educational sustainability that Chancellor Gibson alluded to in his presentation. These are all examples that we can point to and be proud of, and we do, and we are. That being said, our neighbors have caught up with these initiatives, as this slide indicates, and in many ways they already are or will be surpassing our. As the previous slide indicated, sustainability and its related issues is an area that closely aligns with the enrollment race. And if we want to win the enrollment race, standing out in the sustainability conversation will be necessary. As of this past fall, 13.5% of UW's Stevens Point students were non-resident. Many of those 13.5% are coming from states pictured in this slide. That number increases in importance when we add into the conversation the increase in tuition dollars that some out-of-state students must pay. If we start to slip in how we are viewed as leaders in sustainability and the environment, we may see these out-of-state students choose to stay closer to home as their local universities continue to prioritize sustainability. And in a worst case scenario, we may start to lose our own students to neighboring states. This will exponentially increase the negative financial impact on the UW system. Lastly, this slide hits home for me because today we've had 2 UWSP students from our Office of Sustainability presenting to you on the importance of this issue. Both of these pointers call somewhere else home. Abby Krieger from Minnesota presented this morning, and Molly from Illinois is coming up. These pointers didn't end up in front of you by chance. They ended up in front of you because they are the leaders of tomorrow. As you know, the competition to enroll future leaders is fierce. If we want to keep leaders like them coming to the UW system, we need to hear them. We need to act on what they have to say. because it's clear our neighbors are. And in this slide, we wanted to bring your attention to a new and quickly developing crisis. Eco or climate anxiety was first defined by the American Psychological Association in 2017. When I first saw the Princeton Review survey information on enrollment, I thought that was pretty staggering, until I read this slide and realized that within 5 years of being defined, almost half of our young people are already being impacted by this type of anxiety. It is truly an astounding statistic that speaks to why students consider university stance and action on sustainability-related issues when choosing where, or even if they continue into higher education after high school. It does fill my heart today to look around and see this room full of students who want the Board of Regents and the chancellors and university leaders to know this anxiety is real. They want you and their universities to play an active role in changing this reality and decreasing the impacts of climate anxiety for future generations. In the end, this is having a real impact on students' decision-making, as you're about to hear. But if our current students and our future alums don't see us working towards the goals they find most valuable, those who might follow them may not find value in our institutions at all. Our current students and our students of tomorrow are looking to us for hope in the future. I know we have what it takes to provide that for them if we get to work today. I thank you for your time and consideration of this important conversation. And now it's a great privilege for me to introduce to you several of our UW system student leaders who see their lives' work and aspirations tied to the future of our sustainability. So Eliza, Alan, Maddie, Sabrina, Molly, please come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eliza Lindley. I am a junior at UW-Madison, studying environmental science and life sciences communication with a certificate in sustainability. I am also an intern with the Office of Sustainability at UW-Madison, and my experiences in this role have included hosting podcasts, conducting waste audits, working with a group of student athletes, and much more. All of this has solidified my desire to pursue a career communicating with people about sustainability. I've always been fascinated by the interdisciplinary. Systems, connections, and links, nothing draws me more. While I've had a long-standing love for the environment, I have come to realize that environmental protection must be deeply intertwined with protection of human communities. Sustainability provides a framework for connecting these dual efforts. In my future as an environmental communicator, I hope to help people understand that humans are a part of our global environment. Tackling climate change's crises will require every solution we have, fueled by cooperation across lines of division. I want to help people see that this is both possible and worth it for ourselves and for future generations. And it's not just me. I play bass drum in the UW-Madison marching band, and I recently decided to start a sustainability group within the band. I was shocked by the response that I received. Over 40 people in our 300-person band reached out to join. Students at UW-Madison, no matter their major, care about the social, economic, and environmental sustainability of their institution's operations. This awareness and an accompanying sense of urgency continue to grow. It is overwhelming for me to think about what the future might hold. I share in the pervasive climate anxiety that my fellow students have so eloquently expressed today. But as evidenced by our continued efforts, we know that paralysis in the face of these fears is not an option. Alongside this anxiety, we have hope and momentum. I invite you to join us and seize this opportunity to advance the mission of the UW system. My ask for all of you today is to focus on sustainability as a guiding principle. Consider it in each decision you make. How will this sustain our resources in campus communities for generations to come? In order to make sustainability our future, it has to be our priority now. Thank you.
right there. You're good.
All right. Hi, all. I'm Alan Latazzi. I'm an undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I'm finishing this spring semester with a BS in Conservation and Environmental Science and a BA in Political Theory. I come with a desire for collaboration toward common achievable goals. I would like to thank all of you for arranging this meeting and taking the time to hear all of our voices. I personally define success as being the best steward of the earth as possible. We live in a disposable culture, and I wish to substantially disrupt that through policy initiatives, entrepreneurship, and academic scholarship. UWM has helped me fight my cognitive dissonance by turning these desires into an informed possibility, and for that, I'm forever grateful. That said, there is significant room for improvement here at home. First, the UW system should divest boldly from carbon-intensive businesses replaced with investment in sustainable initiatives. Doing so will have far-reaching benefits, possibly global. My student colleague Molly will cover this later in more detail. All UW schools should offer certificate, undergraduate, master's, and doctoral programs in sustainability to get ahead of our future challenges, rather than react to them. With a national shortage in such degree offerings, the UW system is well positioned to place itself at the forefront of this need, making us more competitive in the cutthroat world of college admissions. Currently, there are no degree paths dedicated to sustainability exclusively at UW-Madison or UW-Milwaukee, among other UW schools, forcing me to look at other states for graduate studies. It is unfortunate. I feel strong bonds to Wisconsin and to the UW system. They've done a lot for me so far. I am the chair of UWM's Green Fund Allocation and Mentorship Committee. I love this program. I think it's awesome that it exists. It would, however, be a more powerful entity for impactful progress if we had less parameters on what we could cover with these allocated funds. These include restrictions on building modifications, conflicts with other funding sources, and limitations on the definition of student-led. So this would require a larger conversation, but it would likely actually be brief. Connecting with like-minded individuals is the best way to counteract the severe cognitive dissonance that many green-minded individuals like myself suffer through. This can be addressed with creative solutions in the realm of sustainability. I suggest bolstered course offerings, campus clubs, focused entrepreneurial contests, and living, learning, sustainability dorms. Campuses should also have representatives for sustainability in student Senate councils of every UW school, and a connection between these students to share campus initiatives and progress. Every campus should also have an office of sustainability, each with a paid student sustainability position. There should be a central department of sustainability that coordinates between the UW Board of Regents and each campus sustainability office. Building initiatives by campus are currently limited by the UW system and DFD oversight. This limits individual campuses' abilities to integrate sustainable practices, but it can be addressed through centralized organization. All new campus buildings should be LEED certified or something comparable. I found it very inspiring to hear about UWSP's B certification. This is a goal that I think all campuses should strive for. There should be a focus on decarbonization. None of our campuses can provide adequate heat while remaining carbon neutral if they are powered by fossil fuel. All new buildings should incorporate a green roof and/or solar panels, like the mandates in France and elsewhere. A recent study of 10,000 students found that 45% are experiencing climate anxiety to a level that damages their ability to succeed as students. David, I found the same study. Addressing these concerns will help alleviate these mental ailments while attracting an increased amount of green-minded students. Doing so now can help the Board of Regents alleviate climate and societal pressures for the future. Wisconsin's motto is forward. Let us together look forward to a green future and empower the forthcoming stewards of the earth.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Leonard. I'm a 2020 graduate from UW-Stout with a bachelor's degree in business and a minor in sustainability. I'm currently enrolled in the Sustainable Management Master's program through the UW system with Stout as my home campus. I'll finish my degree in August. On behalf of the UW-Stout community, let me express my deepest gratitude for the privilege of addressing you today. Today, I shall speak to you on passion, change, and the environment. It is with great pride that I sit here today, as I remember walking through the forest with my grandfather as a young child. It was fall in Wisconsin, and leaves covered the path in front of us. As I looked to the sky and the falling leaves, I said, "Grandpa, the woods are so beautiful." He turned to me and said, "Indeed, it is our job to protect God's beautiful earth. We must protect the land and its creatures." As I matured, his words stayed with me, and I became an agent of change for my institution. I understood the importance of health and well-being, our connection to nature, reflected upon past experiences, and prepared for my future. My interaction with the environment became more than just exposing myself to the outdoors. I learned how to recognize the natural world and took action to introduce sustainability into my life and community. To an agent of change, criticism is expected. People who point out every challenge are familiar, and those who focus on costs and limitation hold strong to their beliefs. But for those of us who strive fearlessly, fail often, and continue to be the voice for the voiceless, know the feeling of actual change. We may never know the true impact of our efforts. We may not be around to enjoy the fruits of our labor, but we know in our hearts that we have invested our time wisely. We understand the difference between what is right and what is merely more manageable. Today, I ask you to remember a feeling. Remember the first time you remember feeling grateful for the beautiful place we call home. One day, we will pass it on to the next generation. Americans born today will see the end of this century. What will their world look like if we accomplish nothing today? Separated, we face no chance against climate change. We must work together to strive for excellence even when faced with failure. Together, we hold in our hands the power to change the future. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Maddie Loeffler, and I'm in my 4th year as a UW-Eau Claire Environmental Geography major and American Indian Studies minor. I chose UW-Eau Claire because of its ecologically rich campus and representations of sustainability in infrastructure, such as composting in our student center. Throughout my UW-Eau Claire career, I have been involved in campus and community sustainability initiatives, most notably through the Student Office of Sustainability, commonly referred to as the SOS. I presently hold the position of director, which, according to our current bylaws, makes me the student representative for all campus matters related to sustainability. Quite literally, the weight of the world feels like it's on my shoulders. The SOS has had many successes over the years. We've installed solar panels on the library, retrofitted several dorm buildings with LED lighting, and participated in university and Eau Claire community-wide sustainability and climate action planning. My biggest concern is that most of our university and university systems' sustainability and climate action initiatives have not left the planning stage. Despite commitments to carbon neutrality by 2050, our actions and infrastructure have not seen the bold changes necessary to combat the climate crisis. Talking about climate change is important, but if there's no action behind our words, they lose their meaning. My college and postgraduate career have been planned around combating climate change because I feel like they have to be. Climate change has shaped my life and will continue to exponentially. Where I live, whether I choose to start a family, what I eat, and what job I have all have climate change as a top deciding factor. I am not alone in this.
I ask that you consider how my fellow students and I are impacted by widespread inaction and underaction on climate change. 2050 is not soon enough for carbon neutrality, but it is still sooner than we think. It is possible to have a climate-conscious UW system. We ask for all of your leadership to help us move forward to combat the climate crisis. We cannot do it without you. Thank you.
Hello, board and other UW system representatives. My name is Molly McGuire, and I'm a senior here at UW-Stevens Point, studying natural resource planning. I chose UWSP as an out-of-state first-year Illinois student for its well-known College of Natural Resources. Over the last 4 years, this university has allowed me to explore educational opportunities I'd never imagined. The passion and devotion for understanding and conserving our natural world radiates throughout the lectures, research labs, student organizations, and extension offices, creating a culture of ecologically conscious minds that proliferates throughout the whole university. Students that are present, please wave if you've been positively impacted by the College of Natural Resources. Thank you. I owe many, if not all of my successes and personal growth to UW-Stevens Point over the last 4 years. Through working for the campus Office of Sustainability, managing a student organization, organizing the UW Divestment Coalition, attending endless presentations, conferences, and workshops, I've been able to form a deeper understanding of myself and recognize the responsibility behind the privilege and power each of us in this room holds. I have also formed a strong sense of sustainability, which requires harmony of people, planet, and economy. I love this university and envision opportunities for positive growth and change towards a sustainable UW. However, as my interest in sustainability on campus increased, I realized that many of the outdated practices I was hoping to resolve were unreachable due to policies and decisions made by upper-level administration beyond my individual capacity. For example, the UWSP endowment investment decisions are made by the Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association in Madison instead of the UWSP Foundation. Therefore, during March of 2020, with some sudden free time, I co-founded the UW Divestment Coalition in hopes of creating a larger, unified voice that can make its way into this very room. The coalition represents students, faculty, and alumni from across all UW campuses, advocating for the University of Wisconsin campus foundations to be divested from fossil fuels. I've been amazed by the motivation of my colleagues, including these two right here, who've been important for that campaign, as well as many others. Through their work in hosting events, creating and managing a website, leading meetings, conducting extensive research, submitting an official complaint to the State Attorney General, and many other important actions. Students have prioritized this mission amidst a pandemic while balancing school, work, and relationships and mental health. The students do this work not merely as a resume builder, but to find purpose and role in creating a future that we all want to see. Students have traveled from Madison, shout out to the Madison students that just got here. Thank you. Madison, Stout, Eau Claire, Milwaukee, and Green Bay today, unifying their critical and visionary voices. We share your commitments to serve and dedicate our skills and time to creating a sustainable UW. My personal motivation originally arose out of the fear and uncertainty of how to create a happy and stable life and future for my family. I am motivated by the guilt of knowing that I am benefiting from the destruction of our planet each day, while many others suffer the impacts of human-caused climate change. Around the US, over 1,300 schools and institutions, including foundations, pension funds, institutional investors, have already chosen to divest from fossil fuels, including Marquette University in Milwaukee just last week, University of Minnesota, University of Michigan, and most notably Harvard, who has the largest university endowment in the country of over $41.2 billion. Let's keep in mind that all of the UW campus endowments combined only makes up a fifth of Harvard's endowment. The UW system is falling behind a movement that is instilled with passionate students from across the world, and this increasing dissatisfaction will likely deter enrollment from students concerned about climate change. In May of 2021, President Biden issued an executive order warning that the failure of financial institutions to appropriately and adequately account for and measure these physical and transition risks threatens the competitiveness of U.S. companies and markets. The order requires federal financial regulators to conduct prudent fiscal management by, among other things, evaluating, mitigating, and disclosing climate-related financial risk. To briefly summarize, by choosing to invest in fossil fuels, we are losing interest of sustainability-concerned students, helping to exacerbate the climate crisis, and also placing our endowments in financial risk. Board of Regents, I ask you to utilize your positions of power. You sit in your seats today, I presume, because you love the university system and hope to give back. We ask you to be bold, to question norms, and to be open-minded about the necessary shift that is occurring, or otherwise righteously give up your seats to those more willing. If there is anything I've learned about sustainability over the last 4 years, it is that in order to create effective, meaningful change, you cannot be afraid to go against the grain, to adapt and transition for a better future. Sustainability is not always about taking the easy route. It is about finding the equitable route, the one that will benefit the collective now and for years to come. We are aware that the Board of Regents does not have direct power over university endowments. However, students and alumni and faculty, we cannot do this without you. We ask for transparent communication about how the board will assist in making fossil fuel divestment a reality. I would be more than happy to discuss any of my statements today with you all afterwards. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to us today. Lastly, I would like to remind you that I'm a student. I am one student, but I speak for many. There are thousands of students and many more future students just like me concerned about climate change and eager to make changes and find solutions. Regents, it is time for the UW system to divest from fossil fuels and put sustainability at the forefront of our decision-making processes. Thank you.
Well, before I ask for any questions or comments, I want to thank you, students and all people in the audience who came from your campus to support your speakers. And I want to tell everybody on this board that if you recall, this group came to us in November, very respectfully, asked us if they could talk to us, as they're doing today. And I want you to know that we continued the conversation by email, and we had a conversation by way of WebEx, I believe, or something like that. And we talked, and thanks to Jess and other people, we got this on the agenda, which is what you wanted. And I'm glad you did, because this is actually why we should be on the Board of Regents. These issues involving our students is why we should be wanting to do this job. And if I were doing my real job, I'd say this, that we just presented to you evidence by way of witnesses, pure heart, clear mind, who want to do something to help this planet, this state, and this campus. And I think it's evident, if you're paying attention at all, that they're right. And I think the verdict has to be that we're going to do something about it. And I think we should really find out, because personally, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you that I don't know much about investing at all. You can probably tell that by my lifestyle. But, you know, my parents didn't invest in anything but their 6 children. And every night at the supper table, we ate all the profits. So, that's all I know about investing in my family. But you're right. We have to look at this issue. And I think our foundations campus chancellors. We have to look at this and find out if there's a way that we can do something about getting them to divest of these fuels that are killing our planet. Now, we're getting a lot of pushback. There's gonna be a lot of people that say that you don't know what's going on, I don't know what's going on, that that's foolish, that it can't be done. And you were gonna hear that your whole life, because that's just the way it is. But keep fighting, keep fighting. I call on the chancellors to talk to your foundations. Find out if they're investing heavily in that area. Find out if there's other things that can be done. Don't we have people that are counseling us on how to invest in those foundations? We should be able to find something else to put our money into that will yield the same amount of profit. So I would say that this is the time when we really have to start doing that right now. Not like every other thing where we sign a committee, where we do a study, where we talk to experts, and 6 months later we come out with a report, and by that time people have forgotten what's happened. Now's the time we should start. We don't need all this. Evidence is clear. We've got a problem. Let's do something about it. So I want to thank you. I mean, you've impressed me with your professionalism, your level of involvement, your intellect, your speaking ability. You're all way further ahead than I was at your age. And I admire you for this. And I'm proud of you. So thank you for doing this. Now, are there any questions that any of us have of these young people who have come to us and asked for help? Regent Jones.
I just want to say how persuasive and practical those presentations all were. And now the question really for us as a board of regents and for all of us as regents and for system administration, what are we going to do? What are the next steps? It may be premature in this forum today, but it's clear we can't just have this be a one-off issue and a one-off presentation. So we need to decide how we're going to approach this problem, how we're going to attack this problem. And I think we should have a standing, not a standing, quarterly update on where we're at on this issue. It's an important issue, clearly.
I agree. Regent Ryan.
You know, I think I agree with Mike, and I think, you know, there's always this sentiment of control what you can control. And if we look at what's in the board's control today, we'll have to look into the funding aspect and understand what we have in control of. But Mike, you know as well as capital and finance, we approve buildings. The buildings and the construction of buildings and the maintenance of buildings have a lot to do with what's been presented today in sustainability. And we look at a financial projection and a scorecard when we approve capital projects, but we don't look at the sustainability impact of our capital projects. That is one thing that I suggest we be able to do through the capital planning process as we go forward and involve our students in developing a scorecard for the buildings that we build or that we approve to build. So we understand the environmental impact of our financial decisions. Once again, I feel that's one thing that this board can control.
Anybody else? Regent.
Yep. I guess, I mean, one thing Dr. Rice said that, I mean, I'd like to get some clarity over what funds we actually have responsibility and the ability to evaluate more sustainable investing. I know there's a portion of our funds that I believe we are under the control of this board, right? And if I'm mistaken in that, Quinn, I'm sure you'll be the first one to correct me, but you know, if there are funds that are under our control, we should evaluate. Lots of organizations are doing that, not just endowment funds. I would say as someone who is around the investment markets somewhat, as you look at sustainable investing and redeploying funds and disinvesting in carbon or in really anything else, you got to be a little cautious that we don't get caught up in another highly profitable revenue stream for investment markets that move water from one end of the bathtub to the other. I hate to be so cynical about investment markets, but I've been around them a long time. So I guess we could start by evaluating what do we actually control. We certainly could charge, we could charge our committee overseeing that with responsibility to report back to us. Right?
Right. Thank you. Anything else? Any other region? All right. Thank you very much. I think we have one more presenter.
Yes.
So please go.
Thank you. That's a tough act to follow. I think you heard from the students and we were done. But allow me to share some other information about our finances and our infrastructure and our energy usage, because we do know what we need to do next.
Highlighting Kyle a lot today.
We prioritize the impact on our community and our students, but we have other impacts. As you've all heard in one way or another, the climate will be wetter and warmer, and our storms will be more frequent. I can personally speak from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I've been the director there now for over 14 years in some form of that position. And if you look at the Urban Heat Island Index, it is the same exact map as redlining. And so we definitely have a tie between the social and the environmental concerns here. And heat is the #1 mortality of weather. That's not something you realize when you start looking at the climate hazards. But then I'll also add that if you have a drought, it is very much exacerbated by a flood, and your destruction will be that much more exponential. But what I really want to say with this slide here is that what we don't invest in does turn up someplace else. And we usually call that the social cost of carbon. But for all of you, that shows up in our insurance, that shows up in our healthcare. And right now, it shows up in the impacts on our forestry, our agriculture, and everything that we know of as the state of Wisconsin. And I have lived through 3 administrations now, and I show you this slide, where we are at and where we are going. I did this project at the transition of the Doyle to the Walker administration. And I had everyone around me saying, Kate, do you want to stop? I was putting together 2 state projects combined and 3 grants to make this 30 kilowatt system happen within a green roof. We were rebuilding the roof. It was a good time. It was maintenance, actually. And I said, no, I want to keep moving forward. I will tell you, the Walker administration signed off on this special procurement. And today we live under Governor Evers, and I welcome that. And Maria Redmond, the Director of Sustainability and Clean Energy, has been working with all of us. Under Executive Order 38, there is a priority to especially electrify the electricity for reductions. There's planning, clean energy workforce. Does that sound familiar for the UW system and the tech schools? Innovation, research, and business, new standards, and quite especially to lead by example. And the new Clean Energy Plan will be coming out this month, and we will see exactly how those stakeholders in the Climate Task Force have put together how the state can lead by example. We are trending in the right direction. As Dave spoke to, you know, we're kind of in the middle of that donut, but we have been doing very well. But these are some devil in the details. That's definitely very high on the efficiency, but our overall consumption is only down 11%, although efficiency does speak wonders for our dollars. And we're moving forward with the Governor Doyle's executive orders that I started under. And they're still quite good. There's still something there to be said for them. But ultimately, the UW system needed to meet a 10% reduction by 2010 and a 20% reduction by 2012, I think it was. And we met it. And we've been sitting for 5 years, having met our goal, which is great. When it comes to renewable energy, we've made great strides, but we are not achieving anywhere near our 100% that we need to. Love a line that goes like that when you're in sustainability. Lines that go down are usually good. I like to talk about what we're building up. But essentially, this came from investment. You know, the students are talking about divestment, or what are we investing in? This is the investment we all made over the past 10 to 15 years. And the returns, the $60 million a year in savings, the bond is paid off at $14 million a year. But what could be much greater? We have focused on our students, and we have focused on our research across the state, there were too many photos to put on this slide, which is a great sign. Yet we rank at less than 1% of our energy comes from renewable energy on site. And there are many reasons for that we have learned. We have wind technology and microgrid at UW-Milwaukee. Platteville has, I believe it's the 6th largest on-site installment in the country. And Stevens Point and at Oshkosh, different uses of renewable energy. They're all embedded within research, which is a really great sign. So what do we do next? This is how I like to portray. You have to have a handle on efficiency. You don't want to add renewable energy when you haven't thought about the efficiency of your building. And you narrow it down. But then you have to start the work in a different direction. What got us here today is not what's going to get us through tomorrow. We need to build off the gains that we have made. We really need to what's going in, right? Fine-tuning our efficiency and standards. The next step would be for greater, larger scale renewable energy and some ideas that we have been brewing across the state of Wisconsin. We have a call or a need for campus by campus and system orchestrated planning that we can depend on understanding where we are and where we are going, and ultimately decarbonization. So just flipping through. Okay. Sorry. Done. Can I get some help? Back to 16. Thank you. And so one point to make here, to save money, our efficiency measures need to keep pace with rising costs. This has become the new reality. I'm going to say that again. In order to save money, our efficiency measures need to keep pace with rising costs. We had a rude awakening this year with natural gas, right? And we have seen an increase at 2% per year of our electrical rates. And I will tell you that the wholesale rates will remain steady. The retail rates will continue to increase, and according to the Energy Information Association, natural gas will rise by 28% in the next 8 years. That is something very different than what we have been dealing with over the past 10. Something called retro commissioning. I don't want to delve too far into the details, but this falls through the cracks. This is essentially how we fine tune our buildings to make sure they're running the way that we intended. It is not maintenance, and it is not a capital cost, and it falls through the cracks. We got creative with our dollars at UW-Milwaukee. We moved forward on a project, and our largest science building is now saving $118,000 a year based just in retro commissioning, and that was one building. It is more than enough to pay for an energy manager. We need accountability and robustness in our sustainability guidelines. We can't just do what's easy, or what did you say, Abrina, what's manageable. We have to do what's necessary. And by looking at what is possible with these guidelines, UW system can be a leader. And then finally, just kind of soak in those numbers. I know that's probably where the rubber meets the road for all of you, and that's something that we have to pay close attention to. So just, So in terms of renewable energy, why are we at under 1%? Well, I can tell you the pace to do these projects is extensive. As I told you, I spent 2 years working on that library project. That is 3% of the library's energy. 2 years, that project is 3% of the library's energy. It's great for research. I could show it to you. We have limited availability. We know at UW-Milwaukee that if we covered all of our rooftops, we'd only cover 5% of the energy that we needed. And maintenance. As our dollars shrink, our budgets shrink, the facilities department and I share this concern with them. They have to be maintained. But then essentially, where are we going? We know that there are opportunities with our utilities. We have faced a great deal of risk with some of those opportunities. But also there's a new financial tool that we have explored with UW System on the virtual power purchase agreement. And you will likely be hearing more about that. That takes our aggregation, that takes us working together intentionally with setting some goals, and we need the support for that. Just as an example, this is kind of what I've been saying all along, but you can see we know our energy usage, we know our electrical usage, I should say, that's 80,000 megawatt hours per year. We know what's on the grid, and the grid is changing, but it will likely not change for another 28 plus years. We have the existing, with 4 PV systems and a wind turbine at UW-Milwaukee, that is 0.2% of our energy. We have existing state contracts, 2 of the 4 have expired, and then other 2 are well on their way. So the beautiful line that's crossed out, we were working with our utility on a small parking lot project, but due to an urban environment, we had to not move forward. It just was on top of too many laterals and on top of too much utility infrastructure. Then we've talked about what is the land that UW system has? How can we work with a developer there and stay within the legal means of the regulated state of Wisconsin? But ultimately, we have a large piece to cover, and there are great financial tools to accomplish this. And so you were saying, divestment is one piece, but what do we need to do? We know we can squeeze out some further savings. There are still the energy service contracts. We need to find a way to fund retro commissioning to keep our buildings running the way they were built and intended to be used. We need energy managers across the UW system, and as the students spoke, more professional sustainability staff. And we can lead on these sustainability guidelines. This is a quick win. And we need to move into thinking bigger, differently. Where are there better partners and where are the best financial gains to be made on large-scale renewable energy? And ultimately, if we do work on site, I will always iterate, we need to think about resiliency. What research needs to be sustained 24/7? And that's where we should prioritize renewable energy and battery storage as the new waves of technology that we can use for our campuses. And so essentially, we need new goals. They were met. We need new capacity, and we need better planning. And all the while, we know that there are things that we can do today. Thank you.
Okay, I guess, if you'll notice, I waited until Dennis left before I asked the chancellors to speak. I was hoping to get another citation from him. But Chancellor Mone has something he'd like to say, a comment, and then the rest of the chancellors are welcome. So go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And I really apologize for not being able to join you all. This is something I'd prefer to be at in person. I want to build on and try and reinforce what our incredible students and staff have shared, and just offer a few quick key points, really addressing Regent Jones, your question about what the UW System Board of Regents can do. So that's where I'm going to ultimately end. What you've heard from our students, and I can tell you being on our campus in terms of what we hear every day from our faculty, staff, and students in our community, is how central sustainability is to everything that we do. It's not just attracting and retaining students, which I really appreciate the anxiety that's expressed and what we're hearing about now is well documented. But I think even more fundamental, it pervades our curriculum. It really drives our research, major federal grants around the water, climate-related issues. If you've been anywhere in the world, you know the centrality of the types of things that we do. What Kate Nelson and her staff have done in terms of the sustainability of our operations, it's pretty remarkable. So it really is pervasive. That's foundational. And so on that, the second point is how proud we are of what we've accomplished. And I think every campus here could speak to the kinds of things that they have done to drive big differences that save us money. And that's important, but also save the environment. So we established our Office of Sustainability in 2008, and we were the first campus in the UW system, frankly, in the state of Wisconsin, to achieve the U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon Award. We've won countless other awards, and we've got great documentation of the energy that we've saved and the impact that we've had. A lot of different things around federal sustainability tracking. So then the third point is our problem. We can only do so much. And as I think as you so eloquently heard today, we need to all be in this together because we can gain incredible economies and there's a lot of different facets that we can move on. So there's a lot of things that we have been doing in terms of our campus research, the gardens that we have, our food pantries, a lot of different things that we've established. You heard at the last Regent meeting in June about our campus climate plan for 2022, and we'll be talking about updates in June next time we're in Milwaukee. But we can't do more absent additional help. So we need the active and clear support from the Board of Regents to really help drive that. And to get even more specific, what I would recommend, and really as we talk with you about this, helping create and asking if the Regents can ask UW system to drive a strategic framework for sustainability, something that encompasses not just issues around operations, not just the divestment or investment, but really across a number of different fronts. And do know that UW-Milwaukee will be a very active partner, would be happy to help in terms of providing our support, as I know many other campuses would as well. So it's really about leveraging our strengths, sharing our practices, and really driving this forward with a strategic, comprehensive framework that's UW system-wide. So thank you for this opportunity. And again, apologies for not being able to be there.
Thank you, Chancellor. Any other Chancellor wish to speak?
Becky.
Chancellor.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone who's been part of today's conversation. I just want to say that, I think we on campus, under our direct control, do three things, and I just want to say this clearly because I think it hasn't quite been said. Thank you, that's not working. All right. I just want to say clearly something that hasn't been said, which is that, we do three things on campus. And the first and most important is we educate. We educate hundreds of students every semester on environmental issues, on wildlife ecology, on sustainability, on environmental engineering. That is the most important thing we're doing to change the future. Secondly, at least at Madison, we do large amounts of research. I think, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly, over $350 million of our research funding, which is almost a fourth, goes into environmental and climate-related research. And if you're talking about changing the future, that too is important. Thirdly, we run buildings and facilities, and we have to run those well. We have a lot of challenges in trying to cover the costs of this type of work, and you on the board know that as well as us. And I must say the students need to help us on this one as well with the legislature, because the problems of not getting adequate funding to do some of the things we need to do are very real. The divestment issue I take very seriously. It is one that we need to be concerned about, but I want to gently remind everyone that under state law, and by very direct direction of this board, we are not to intervene in the decision-making of our foundations. And that has come out of a variety of recent activities. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be talking about that issue and working on it, but that is the harder and more distant issue if you're asking, where do I have levers? Where can I make a difference in the future of climate change on this campus? It is education and research and making sure I'm running a sustainable campus. And, those three we all have to be working on and working on every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Chancellor Brown.
I will echo what Chancellor Blank has said, and on my campus, it's at an entirely smaller scale, of course, but we do have quite a few buildings, and actually I was walking this campus earlier, and it's very similar. You have one or two that are over 100 years old, and then you got a lot of them that were built in looks like the 1960s, and then some newer. I was very impressed with the biology chemistry building here. And the good thing is that the newer buildings, I think everyone would agree, sustainability is inherent. It's fundamental. We go after the LEED certifications. Those are very important to us. And so I think we've seen a pretty dramatic change. And Alex Rowe and her team could confirm that in how things are done these days. So that's a good thing. The other piece is education, of course, and we are very proud at my campus of the number of students who are interested, as we see here today, in these issues. It gives one great optimism for the future. And I will note that this is why it's all the more important. We get our phase 2 of our Prairie Springs Science Center, and Alex, of course, knows all about that, so that we continue being a leader. I think the hardest one is on the divestment. I'm sure you've heard this, the universities don't control that money, it's the foundations. And so when this has come up on my campus, I've encouraged students to talk to the foundation leadership, and there are boards of foundations, as there is a board here, who make those decisions. Now, I am very interested in that conversation, so I like to know, well, what exactly is the answer? And apparently for a campus like ours with an endowment of, it's only $38 million. That's a lot of money to me and you, but in the world of investing, it's actually not very much. And Harvard, they've got their own people that make the decisions about where the money goes, and they're some of the highest paid people, I think, in higher education. And so they can isolate and say, okay, we're not going to be with this company or that company. Apparently, foundations like the one on my campus, they put it into a basket of many, many, many investments. And it's a little challenging to pull out the ones that you say, well, these are not conducive to sustainability. So that's something that is going to have to be addressed moving forward. And I will note that our institutions are not for-profit ventures, so that when there are investments made, the money that is generated goes right back into the university, primarily at my campus in the form of scholarships for students. So there's a complexity to this that, we want to generate lots of returns so we can give the money, and then that makes it more affordable for them. So just something to think about. And as a personal aside, I've been vegan for 25 years. So I hope more of you are going in the plant-based direction. And that wasn't why I got onto it, but it does have some real benefits, as I'm seeing some nods there. So thank you again for your outstanding presentation.
I might say that while we can't directly interfere with foundations, we can certainly let them know what our thoughts are. Right? Right. It's not against the statute. So, anyone else have any questions, statements, comments?
Something I can add. Thank you very much, students. Hope you can hear me. But I just wanted to, again, thank you. It was great information, extremely timely. And just thank the students and the academic staff for being here on this. I wanted to just remind everybody that the role of the system, right? K-12 is part of the system too, and that's the system I represent here. And when we think about environmental sustainability, we have to think about some of the things that we could do also at the K-12 level too. Environmental education, think about curriculum. School boards can certainly have policies. Our buildings also are really old in K-12, and as we replace those, certainly looking at how we can improve the infrastructure there, but just really looking at the future. And that's what I was so grateful to hear from you, because when you think about just looking at the statistics, the impact that's going to have on our economy. I mean, Wisconsin looks at the agricultural products that it produces, like the maple syrup right here on our table. That's not going to be around if we don't certainly look at addressing these things. And so just again, grateful to you for bringing up the awareness. And that it reminds me that we need to be looking at what we can be doing to educate our kids and our communities at a younger age too. So thank you.
Chancellor.
Hi, what I've been told by our folks on the campus is it's about 3 big rocks on campus. It's cars, it's heating plants, and it's electricity. And so the discussion that we're going to have here about the virtual power purchase agreement, I think it's critical in order to knock one of those down. We have to figure out how we can more efficiently heat campuses, cool campuses over the long haul, heat pumps, for instance, And then, of course, we got to get cars off campus in some way.
Thank you. Well, so you can see we support your efforts and encourage the system to continue to make the necessary and appropriate steps to get us to where we need to be. So thank you for coming. It's been a great discussion. And, I think you should probably keep checking in on us, okay? Because we need to be checked on some issues this month. Thank you very much.
Since 1975. Just something he loves to watch. Tell you a story. I mean, 53s from the healing. All right, for our final agenda item today is recognition of the tremendous leadership and service of Chancellor Rebecca Blank, who has served at the helm of our flagship for the last 8 years. This summer, Chancellor Blank is headed to become the 17th president of Northwest University. Karen Walsh will present the resolution of appreciation.
Thank you, President Many Deeds. Before I read the resolution, I would just like to briefly share a personal note or two about my relationship with Chancellor Blank. I first met her not long after her predecessor left and the interim that preceded her left. And my first impression of Chancellor Blank was that she was truly one of the most intelligent people I had ever met in my life. And my initial contacts with her were based around my husband's and my philanthropy and her appreciation of the importance that philanthropy plays in the efficient and creative and successful running of our campuses. I can't recall ever seeing anyone as creative about getting revenue streams and someone as persistent as she has been. A few months ago, as chair of the committee looking for her replacement, I had a meeting with her senior cabinet folks. And I walked up to her a little bit later and said, Becky, everyone was gushing about you and what wonderful work you had done. And I thought, how many times does a leader like that hear that their staff and their people who work as a team with them admire them so much? And I add my admiration to that group. I'm not going so far as to wear purple, Becky, but if you have any red things that you'd like to repurpose on Poshmark or something, I'm sure we can find some help for you. I know you'll be a Badger in your heart and that you'll be watching to the north to see that we're keeping your campus in the wonderful shape. My personal gratitude to you, and here comes the resolution. Whereas Rebecca M. Blank served as the Chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Madison from 2013 to 2022, successfully leading the university through a period of extraordinary financial challenge, social justice upheaval, and a global public health crisis. And whereas under her leadership, Always Forward, the most successful fundraising campaign in UW-Madison history, raised more than $4 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. $4 billion, far surpassing its original goal. And whereas she prioritized diversity, equity, and inclusion on the UW-Madison campus by investing in efforts to diversify the faculty, staff, and student body, enhancing relationships with the Native nations of Wisconsin through the Our Shared Future initiative and the creation of a new position, Tribal Relations Director, and commissioning the Public History Project to tell the full story of the university. And whereas under her tenure, UW-Madison enhanced its position as one of the world's top public research universities with $1.4 billion in annual research expenditures, and continued to play a critical role in Wisconsin's economy by attracting jobs, talent, and money to the state. And whereas she built and strengthened UW-Madison's relationships with citizens, businesses, community leaders, other UW system campuses, and policymakers, and increased access to a UW-Madison education for Wisconsin residents by creating the Bucky's Tuition Promise and Badger Promise scholarship programs. And whereas under her tenure, UW-Madison set new records for undergraduate applications and enrollment, improved educational outcomes, raised graduation rates, lowered time to degree, and reduced the graduation gap between all students and students from underrepresented groups. And whereas she is a strong proponent of sustainability efforts, leading the university to win a 2021 Green Ribbon School Sustainability Award and signing the Second Nature Resilience Commitment to help UW-Madison mitigate and prepare for the effects of climate change. And whereas she oversaw the growth and revitalization of campus infrastructure through numerous facilities projects to position UW-Madison for the future and ensure that the university will continue to attract and retain the best and brightest faculty, staff, and students. And whereas she created financial stability for the university and grew investment income that has made it possible to expand scholarships, offer more competitive faculty salaries, and increase graduate student stipends. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Regents of the University of Wisconsin System hereby offers thanks to Rebecca Blank for her service as Chancellor of UW-Madison and wishes her a successful tenure, except on the football field, as the 17th President of Northwestern University. Chancellor Blank.
Always dangerous to ask someone to say something unscripted. I just want to say it's been an honor to be in this job every day that I've been on campus. And, while there are days that have been tough, and there have been a lot of fights that we've had to have to keep the university on an even keel, I have appreciated the students, the staff, the faculty, all the work that they do every day to make this one of the greatest public universities in the country. And I appreciate the enormous amount of effort that Board of Regents puts into that effort as well. With 7 years of an enormous amount of work at no pay, this is a labor of love, and I appreciate all the support and work that you have done as well. People have come up to me as I've announced that I was leaving and said, "Man, you had a short time. You must be really glad to be going." I'd say, I'm going to obviously miss a lot about this job, a lot about Madison, a lot about the university. I don't think game day in Evanston is the same as game day in Madison. But I will also say this is a job that has some elements of joy that I don't know a single other job in the country that has. I have my own ice cream named after me. I got a Bucky as a mascot. With all due respect to Eau Claire, I got one of the best marching bands in the country. Not to mention wonderful music, wonderful dance, absolutely great student athletes, and a campus environment that can't be beat for beauty. So, it has been a joy to be in this job. And thank you all for being such great colleagues over that time.
All right, that concludes the open session, so I would ask Vice President Walsh to read the motion to move into closed session.
I move that the Board of Regents move into closed session to A, consider a compensation adjustment for an individual with a salary that exceeds 75% of the UW system president's salary as permitted by S 19.851 and C of the Wisconsin statutes. Consider compensation adjustments for chancellors as permitted by S 19.851 and C of the Wisconsin statutes, and discuss ongoing personnel matters as permitted by S 19.85, 1C and F of the Wisconsin statutes.
Is there a second? Second. Yes.
Regent Mendenhall.
Yeah.
Regent Walsh.
Yes.
Regent Atwell.
Yes.
Regent Bechtel.
Yes.
Regent Bogus.
Yes.
Regent Cologne. Regent Friedman.
What?
Regent Jones.
Yes.
Regent Klein.
Yes.
Regent Miller.
Yes.
Regent Posh.
Yes.
Regent Drew Peterson. Regent Chris Peterson.
Yes.
Regent Rye.
Yes.
Regent Saffold. Regent Tucker.
Yes.
Regent Underly.
Yes.
Regent Weatherly.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to take a 10-minute break.
Yay.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
So. She's a good.